Hey, it's Chris. Retail. The must-have games of September 2024. The must-have games and why you shouldn't own any of them or buy any of them or even think about getting any of them. The games that are going to be making the waves, the hotness, the FOMO, the desire, the temptation, the games that might be even on your radar, especially as we approach Essen. So, what are they? Let's go. September. I'm in you. So, first up, right, we have some big name expansions. The biggest of the names, well, at least widely recognized and also price point opposite wise, we have Radlands and the Cult of Chrome. And that's coming from Roxley, right? 12 new camps. They've basically spoiled everything on the Board Game Geek forums of what they are and, just everything that's going to be included. And it's going to be somewhere, between $12 and $15. You haven't played Radlands enough. You haven't played this game extensively to need new bases or camps or whatever you want to call them. You haven't played this game recently. You didn't even need to buy the slightly deluxeified, plastified cards in the first place. And then if you did, you're in sort of a conundrum situation right now as well of what do you do when a base game is deluxeified? You're forced to buy the deluxeifications of the expansion that match, and nobody wants to do that, right? I'm looking at Ra right now, currently running at the time of me filming this on crowdfunding with the new Traders expansion. And they've got an acrylic version and they got the Pharaoh version of a wooden pieces selection. And now we've got the Traders expansion that's doing the same thing. So you're almost forced, if you want it, to FOMO on that aspect of things. Similarly, you're going to have to FOMO to Roxley's site, I believe, to get the deluxeified versions. Because, why not pay 4 to 5 times the amount that you could have bought the base game for at retail in the first place by buying a deluxeified version of it as well, right? Why pay $12 when you can pay $60 instead for a game? Ooh, them's fighting words, right? That's a whole nother video of why deluxeifications are ruining board games, but that's a whole nother video, like I said. We're not going to delve into that sacred elephant, so don't worry, not in this video. So you shouldn't buy it, unless you're like me and you have a type and you love playing those games and you play those games all the time, right? My Summoner Wars, my Radlands, my Mythic Mischiefs, I love those games. If you don't play those games repeatedly ad nauseum until you're sick in the stomach, tossing up like you're taking chemotherapy, it's probably not for you. Secondly, speaking, again, Gaia Project, the Lost Fleet, you don't need this expansion. You have not played Gaia Project enough. And at least with Radlands or any of those other ilk of the 2-player modular asymmetric faction-based games that I mentioned, right? You can play those in 20 or 30 minutes. Gaia Project, right? To get your money's worth. Well, Chris, as long as I have it and I have the ability to play it, Chris, as long as I have it and think someday I will get it played, Chris, that's good enough for me. You think you're me. I think I'm you. And truth be told, I just sold a very popular, very good game for well under market value that I may have talked about recently on this channel because I said my odds of getting this played significantly anytime in the near future are a pipe dream. The guy was on his way to my house to buy it and I'm sitting there with it on the counter and I'm going, man, I bet my kids would really like this in 3 or 4 years. Right? Oh, Gaia Project. Heavy Euro, 2 to 3 hour time frame. Meta evolving. Don't worry, I can play it solo, Chris. We have a system of, rotating these. It's collected more dust. So, yeah, do you need a ton more asymmetric factions? Or if you're looking at this and going, oh, you know what? I'm going to buy one of these and I'm going to get everything for it, right? I'm going to get Terra Mystica and I'm going to buy the expansion with it because it's a good deal. I'm just found somebody with a Gaia Project as cheap and now I can buy the expansion to make myself feel complete. Do you really need more factions for that? Have you mastered the meta unless you're playing it like on Board Game Arena 37 times a day? No, you don't. Too heavy, too long, too many conflicting get it to the table space issues with a game like this, right? It's like Lacerda's. How many times can you play those games? Or again, going back to the beginning point, how many times do you feel like you have to play it to justify owning it? Unfortunately, I dare say, this is going to be controversial, but fight me in the comment section down below. I'm going to make the argument that the amount of times that people feel like they need to play it in order to justify buying it, owning it or having it in their collection is binary. And what I mean by that is the answer is 0 or 1. 0 or 1. And again, I'm you, you're me. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm telling you that's not a good reason to buy it. The other expansion that we have to talk about is one, going to be coming out sometime between now and the time of Essen, Ares Games. I love this game. Again, I have a type. See Radlands earlier. War of the Ring, the card game. I mean, you can't play regular War of the Ring. I mean, that's a pipe dream as well. It's like, Twilight Imperium for most people. It's hopium crack all over the place. But this is the Fire and Swords expansion, offering you more variability if you want a little more customization. Offering you some more variability if somehow you're playing this 2-player game on teams, which is never, ever the way I play these games, right? They're head-to-head duelers, and they're like, hey, guess what, guys? There's a 4-player mode. Nope. It's never as good. The dynamics never as good as a whole for me whatsoever. I don't care who you are. I don't care what game you are. I have yet to find more than like 1 or 2 that adequately do that from a team standpoint. And, if you know more of them, shoot me comments down below, right? I'm all for that. But truth be told, a lot of these that are going head-to-head duelers, I don't want to wait 3 people's turns to come back around to mine and then maybe have an idea of what happened to the board state or maybe not. And I think this is adding awesome, awesome stuff. And I'd love to end up with a copy of it. But again, do I need it? Is it that much more variability? Have I maximized and capitalized on everything the base game has to offer? Because again, how many plays did I just talk about? No, I'm not actually talking about that for this one. I have more than that, but I still don't feel like a half a dozen or 10 plays is going to fill that capacity, right? We're talking dozens of plays potentially to really kind of get it down. Now, again, not going to say you can't learn it and know it to a mild extent with less, but you're not really maximizing it to that extent. And so that's why expansions are always a ripoff dollars and cents wise. That's why crowdfunding always, again, this is an older video, always comes with a bunch of expansions because that's where the profit margin is. That's where the profit margin is. They're not trying to sell you on the great gameplay that they're bringing to the table. And if they are, well, 1, they're selling you a broke game in the first place, or 2, it should have been included in the base in the first place as well. Right? Let's just stay with this. I'm on a roll. And let's go with Ark Nova. You haven't played Ark Nova in, months or years even at this point, right? Years and years. You haven't played Ark Nova in 5 years. Just kidding. But you don't need another map pack for it, right? It was the top game of 2022? That was years ago. That is 17 hype hot cycles ago. You don't even remember if you own Ark Nova, let alone need more map packs for variability. You don't even know the rules off the top of your head to be able to play it if you had to pull it out at game night right now and teach it to somebody. So the fact that you need a second different map pack, no, you haven't played the expansion Marine World yet. So screw another map pack, right? Who am I kidding? You're going to buy it anyway, because this was the #1 game from 2 years ago, and somehow you still think it's going to be your #1 game if you can never get it played. It's fighting words, right? Because it got supplanted by Earth, and then it got supplanted by, Andromeda's Edge. Get supplanted by Arcs, whatever it's going to be this year, and you're going to forget about it in 3 months. Oh, snap. The other one we have to talk about, Aquatica, the Coral Reefs expansion. Do you remember that game? Aquatica. This is the second expansion for Aquatica, and it's coming with more good things from Arcade Wonders. Cold Waters, the first expansion, fixed some of the base game issues, but you want more underwater creatures, you want a new couple southern tribes, variable player powers, card drafting management, adding a 6th player count, new modules, goals, mechanics. How many modules do you need to fix a game? How many modules do you need to make a game more replayable that's already card-driven, rotating, drafting style in the first place? More of everything. More manta ray encounters that turn the rules of the game upside down. Again, whole nother video here, right? It's the theme of this video. I was just reading on the latest publisher's update on a very big game that you would recognize, and they're like, hey, guys, we're going to streamline it. But also, ignore the first part of the update above this comment about us streamlining it, because we're actually drastically changing the dynamics, and we're actually adding in layers because this was too strong at one point and this was too weak at the other point. And then the other rule book that we were just talking about with a different game was, you know, don't worry, it's not too complex. It's relatively streamlined, but we had to lay out all of the errata and all of the minutia that you're going to need to be able to know. And, you know, it basically doubled the size of the rule book because of all those edge cases. So just using the rules could be something good. Like if you're looking for a twist, like on a show or a movie, right? Turns the whole thing upside down. But if your premise is you're changing the whole core crux of the gameplay with an expansion, like, again, is it because maybe it didn't do what you needed it to the first time, or are you changing things for the sake of changing things? Because there are also very few games that I go, you know what, I have this game in my collection, not a 2-player asymmetric faction-based game, but a other type of game, just a complete core game, whatever else ilk you want to say, and you go, okay, that expansion's nice. Oh, you know what, Chris? I need 2 expansions. I need 3 expansions, right? Expansions that all add something different on top, layers and layers and layers. And I'm going to call myself the king hypocrite here because, you know, you could make that case for Marvel United in my sense and, you know, DC United and those issues, but I look at that as more of a continuum of the same thing and just having a sheer volume size of things rather than saying, I need this expansion to add this mechanism, this expansion to add this mechanism, this expansion to add this mechanism, this expansion to add this mechanism. All of these mechanisms that are included one by one as slow additions to the base game in the first place are all as valuable and as important as the stuff in the base game that it came with, that it was originally designed as. Do you think of many things like that? Or do you get one expansion and you go, yeah, this is the one I needed? The other ones, nope, just kidding. The next one I have to put out there and I have to talk about is because it's gotten a little bit of hype. It's Wilmot's Warehouse. It's storytelling memory. Okay, I'm going to take some criticism for this. I think it could be a fantastic experience. But from a core, what I'm looking for as a non-social gamer, non-deduction, non-party game, experience as the end-all be-all gamer, I feel like when people tell me it's this absolutely amazing thing, I look at it, I watch the gameplay, and for me personally, like, I'm going, is anyone else seeing this? Is anyone else seeing this? I just don't think it's for me at all whatsoever. And if that sort of experience-based game is for you, go do you. But I think you need to know, again, what your own personal tastes are. And a game like this is not going to change your own personal tastes on mechanisms like that. That's just not, right? You know, for the vast majority, I'm a very tough sell on area control and worker placement. I'm also, as you've seen on this channel, I don't do a whole lot of party style of things. Social big games. It's not what we do. It's not just a style for me, so I don't cover it a lot. And so for me, this is an easy pass. But CMYK, I mean, they put out solid stuff, right? 2 of my favorite games from last year, Lacuna and Daybreak. I'd argue that Lacuna is probably much higher, actually, now, even than it was before, and it's much higher than Daybreak. Ease of accessibility. And so ease of accessibility and experience with this one, sure, off the charts. Actual interest from my personal standpoint, it's okay. Just don't be fooled by, Root's aesthetic, we'll make that comparison. A lot of people bought Root because they said, this is an amazing freaking game. Wow, the art is really fantastic on this. Whoops, this is a war game disguised as a cute animal-based game. And then people were like, oh crap, I hate this. I have no interest in an asymmetric, super asymmetric war style of things. I thought this was something else. I thought this would change my mind. Those are big regret words in this hobby, period. The next one, I'm actually huge on this one. I'm actually super high on this one. I am going to buy this one. I'm going to tell you not to buy it. I am going to buy it. It's called The Gang. Came out of Gen Con, got some hype. It's going to be $20. It's sort of the game meets poker, if you will, cooperatively style of things. It's not going to be groundbreaking, earth-shattering. It's going to end up with a low 7.23 whatever rating on Board Game Geek. But is it going to be a hell of a lot of fun? Yeah. Is it going to be easy to get to the table? Yeah. Am I going to be able to play it with anybody? Yeah. Is it going to be too light for a lot of people? Yeah. Are they going to hate on it because it's too light? Yeah. Is it going to be for everybody? Because again, like I just said with the previous one, it's not going to change your mind if you don't like this light style, the game-driven, named-wise, the gang style of game. No, it's not going to change your mind. That's okay. But for me, it's a great fit. It's not for you. Don't listen to me. I have bad opinions. I have bad takes, right? Like, don't listen to me, right? I have bad taste in games. So take that for what you will. That's why I'm where I'm at, right? I'm a third-rate reviewer, if you will. So there you go. That's that side of things. What else is going on? What else is going on? Let's talk about some base games as well right now. Some core games. Get off the expansion train. Look, I'd be amiss if I didn't shout this one from the rooftops. And, you know, again, just like we talked about last month with Marvel Multiverse, which again, I'm still waiting for my pledge. What the F happened with these East Coast containers? These East Coast containers are still like a month out from being delivered. The rest of the whole world already has their game. Like, I don't know what happened. Anyway, sorry. Cthulhu, Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. That's where I'm going with this, though, is because, again, it's going to be at retail. And, again, I'll probably have my pledge in another 2 months. You know, you don't need any more of this. I debated very heavily about selling this when the second Kickstarter came around. Because, truth be told, it just looks better. And this game is a plethora of too much stuff. Tiles, miniatures, not as much variation as I'd probably like, just like, you know, Marvel United in terms of the differences between the investigators. You know, at least with some of those, there's some text on the Marvel United ones. There's not as much on the Cthulhu sometimes. And that'd be my big concern is I'm going to play one over the other. And I'm not sure how incorporation is going to work. Incorporation? Delineation? Satisfaction? I don't know. But the argument, again, maybe you're looking at that and going, Chris, you know what? You're wrong. Or, Chris, you're being a hypocrite. Yep, I am. But you want to not buy it at retail? You shouldn't buy it at retail because you're going to miss out on the unspeakable equivalent box for this one, just like the last one. So, you don't buy it at retail. You, wait for it, drum roll, go buy somebody else's pledge. Don't buy this at retail. Buy someone else's pledge. Buy someone else's pledge. Now, if you're paying attention from that side of things, you'll get it for near cost. So do that instead. And you'll get all your exclusives because that's what you really need. Core is going to be fine, but you need one exclusive box, not anything else. Right there. So that's why you don't buy it at retail. You get it on the secondary freaking market. Interestingly, coinciding with the first part of this video too, expansions. Return to frickin' Dark Tower expansions are coming to wide retail as well. My own bias aside, I'm not a fan of the hugely managed by the app, even though it does a wonderful job of it, right? If you said, Chris, make a video of 10 games that you're better off having someone else own instead of you, this would be on that list. Not a bad game whatsoever. Restoration's done a fantastic job. People love it. Hard cooperative style of things. I don't know, right? Just doesn't tickle my fancy as much. And, you know, again, expansion content is expansion content. I'd wager this one falls under the category of, check some notes over here. Oh, it's the one where you haven't played the base game enough to actually need the expansion content in the first place. Sort of like a lot of these. Not really that far off from any of the others. So, I mean, cooperatively, it's a big setup teardown more so in that sense. And do you have the appeal of the electronic aspect of this? Because again, I'd make the argument that just like apps and app integration, you're probably on one side of the fence or the other. Just like AI art. Them's fighting words. Special shout out here because I've been seeing it go similarly bling-wise across the Board Game Geek banner, and I had to click on it because I was wondering what it is, right? Primal the Awakening, Reggie Games, and their freaking amazing boss battler, if you will, is Click Day. I was like, what the deuce is a Click Day? Well, basically, it's opening up pre-orders this month for you being able to get limited retail copies from them, deliverable by the end of the year, allegedly. Do you need this game? No. Have I played it enough to give you my full registered opinion? No. Am I way behind on that? Yes. Do you have any other games that fall under the campaign-driven scenario, boss battler, or any of the above? You shouldn't buy this one because you're going to be stuck in the quagmire that I am of trying to slog through it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? Very, very, very enjoyable. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I just sold another game that I said this game is freaking amazeballs. But I can't get it to the table again anytime soon. That is the dilemma. As I always say, one is too many. You'll never have enough of triple-digit crowdfunding priced games. Boom. Mic drop. The other one, retail release, allegedly, right before Essen. Kinda on the hot list from the Essen side of things. Feudal Spiel, Black Forest. You get to do glass-making domain in the woods of the Black Forest, right? Doesn't that sound like something you'd probably see at Essen with a dry theme? Yeah, as a, medium weight Euro style of things. Yeah, 3 weight on Board Game Geek. But again, as I said last month, looking back at Essen last year, what are the games that are rememberable? What are the games that are memorable? I'm leaving that one in there. That's a Liegeism right there. If you're new to the channel, I screw up all the time and make up my own stuff, and that's why I'm an idiot. Anyway, where I'm going with this is one of the hot games from like Gen Con Essen last year, as I mentioned previously, Three Ring Circus. Where's that now? Things like that are getting this hype, that are getting that style of things. And this is a Rosenberg game. This is a Rosenberg game a la Glass Road with the similar mechanics of the action selection, simultaneous action selection going on with Glass Road, but you've got more of your action selection via worker placement here. It gives me very similar vibes in the same sense of that game from 2019 that you probably, again, don't remember, of Black Angel. And because of the design of it in general speak, because of the designer, they said, okay, well, let's compare it to Troyes, right? And then people were like, well, it's not anything like that, and so it can't be any good. Well, the truth was that it's, similar, but actually not similar. And that's how I think a game like this, unfortunately, could be judged, is that, well, it's just close enough that we're going to make the comparisons to it, even if it isn't necessarily always like it, right? And so because it shares some of those similar vibes, a similar designer, you're going to see similar comparisons. Again, probably rightly or, worriedly wrong so, potentially in that situation. Well, apart from that, Gaming Rules has a video on how to play for 1 hour and 40 minutes. So if you want more deets on mechs, you can go check that out. But that'd be my hesitation. Flash in the pan at convention, just like flash in the pan at crowdfunding. Sometimes we just pick our poison one way or the other and think our poison's less poisonous, if you get what I'm saying. The other big name, speaking of crowdfunding, we're talking about First Fish Games here. Mistwind, the strategic game of network building through a series of isles as the nations are going to be connected and you're gathering resources from them in sort of a combo, pick up and deliver worker placement. Are you a fan of worker placement? Are you a fan of pick up and deliver? That's the question you have to ask yourself with this one. The big concern I have with any game like this is the potential for network and route building to overstay its welcome. And that's what a lot of these games can do. Allegedly, slightly cutthroat as well with the worker placement style of things and the combos that are going across this board. So do you love that mechanic? Again, I've said multiple times in this channel, I feel like pick up and deliver is a very niche, a very, you're either on, again, one side of the fence or the other mechanic. And then again, how cutthroat do you like your worker placements with this as a combination mechanic driven game in the first place, right? I have no idea. Crunchy optimization puzzle. How does it stand out? What are you doing? Does theme matter with this one? Does flying ships over a nation and a world enthrall you? That's more of anything else, I guess. So then, of course, we have to talk about one of the other recent releases this month, Callisto, right? Undaunted Callisto 2022 from Osprey Games, the latest in the line of the Undaunted. And what worries me about this one is that not that this is going to be a bad game, right? But are you aware of what you're getting yourself into when you buy this game? Are you a solo junkie looking for a new, better, best version of Undaunted? Well, there you go, except for the fact that it's 63 pages, they say, of rules for the solo side of things, which is combining basically the basic gameplay, which is somewhere in the mid-20s, plus the scenario-driven book of 27 pages. It's a ton of freaking content, and the AI system is not intricate. So that's the dilemma you have to say is, for a light skirmish 8-based scenario game, is that going to be way too much overhead for you from that side of things? Again, like Osprey has done just a fantastic job of a mechanical approach with a game like this. I would dare say that that would, be one of the better games of the year in a lot of people's eyes, and it's going to be considered a war game, and people are going to love it, and it's got a different sci-fi fantasy theme, which is going to attract a whole different counterpart than the World War II-esque one vibe, whatever it may be, right? But boy. And it's not going to have the Imperium issues, because again, Osprey puts out a pretty solid rulebook, but boy howdy, is that a chunky, solid rulebook. 2 cats fighting behind the door right now through the window of the door. I can just see, they just all of a sudden. Anyway, squirrel. So is that a barrier to entry, right? We talk about dungeon crawls. We talk about Euros that are 50 pages long. We talk about Lord of Ragnaroks that are the same length. And sometimes more is more, and sometimes less is more. And is this going to be a coin flip for you, or where is your head going to be? And can you justify, or can you actually just get it physically to the table, if that's how much overhead you're having to learn, or potentially relearn? You know what? Let's stay with that. Go back to the beginning again. I'm going to mispronounce this. Nusjford. And this is not, we're talking about here, the 368th rated best game overall from a worker placement. Again, very same weight rating as Black Forest, but we're talking about this different, again, Rosenberg style game getting a big box edition with 2 of the previously released expansions and 2 unreleased new stuff, right? What did I say earlier about expansions? I'm looking and I'm thinking of my game behind me, Isle of Skye, right? Love that game. Fantastic. 1 expansion, great. Another expansion, bleh. Couple promos everywhere scattered along the thing, right? Bought the big box, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Guess what's gotten more playtime? Has the big box been unboxified and utilized? No, I mean, the base game is still just king. The base game is king. I would love more incorporation, but it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. It's a pipe dream in a lot of these situations. And don't be fooled. This is a good deal. This is El Grande, the big box. You're never going to use any of them. You're going to get them, and you're not going to have enough counts to incorporate again. And so buying a big box is fine. But just like with, say, Castles of Burgundy, you could probably find a used copy of the 10th or 20th or whatever anniversary copy edition of Castles of Burgundy, just like we're talking about Puerto Rico, coming around again with super deluxification skills, than getting a totally blinged out version of extra stuff that you're never going to use and you're not sure if you're going to like it in the first place. So why get the extra content if you don't know you already love it in the first place as well? Question mark, right? That's what you have to wonder with this one in addition. So, you know what? We're done. I'm going to end it there. A couple more games we could have covered. A couple more things that were on my radar. Intarsia, one of the other Essen releases, is a lighter style 1.8 from Deep Print Games. Terminus from Inside Up Games as well, with their train sort of network building game as well from crowdfunding. So those are coming out in addition, but I'll leave you to explore whether or not you can stave off the FOMO with those. That's all I got. Patreon me. Ko-fi. Coffee? I always... why would you just, purposely spell it a different way and make it sound the exact same? That drives me crazy as someone who mispronounces things all the time. My kid, my oldest one, it's genetic, right? This is how I'm ending the video because it's my freaking video and channel. We eat snacks, common snacks. What are they? Graham crackers. Well, they are Graham crackers because that, folks, is how they're spelled. Stupid English language. If you don't think that way, well, try to teach someone to read for the first time, and you'll find out how many stupid nuances, changes, rules that make no sense in the English language show up when you're trying to teach someone how to do that, especially comparatively to most of the other languages locally that get learned, at least around here, that are all phonetically based. It's very fun. Peace out. See ya. You're exploring these little isles with strategic net building. You're exploring these strategic isles with network building. You're exploring this strategically based isle exploration. You're exploring isles with your strategic net builder. Mother pearl, I can't get the sentence out.